Hi everyone. I will be doing my presentation on Claudia Jones. I believe that not many people have had the chance to learn about her when it comes to topics such as social justice and activism, which is why I think she deserves more recognition for her work because it carries on to this day. So who exactly is Claudia Jones? Jones was born on February 21st, 1915 in Trinidad and Tobago. When she was about 9 years old in 1924, her and her family would relocate to the US, where she grew up in Harlem, New York. Unfortunately, her family was overcome with poverty, leading to her formal education coming to an end, but it was the beginning of her political education through her social activism. And by the time she was 18 years old, she had become a member of the Young Communist League. As she continues her activism as a feminist and for African American rights, the legacy of her work had garnered immense recognition in which we can still reference to this day. In the US, she was the leader of a Black feminist and communist party in which her main focus would be to create an anti-imperialist coalition that would be managed by working class leadership and fueled by women getting involved. Throughout her adulthood, she would remain as a communist, which didn't go unnoticed by the US government, especially during the McCarthy era. Her immigrant status and membership to the Communist Party would lead to her exile from the US, and eventually she would move to the UK and continue her work. Her expulsion and silence of her voice ties into her theory that there was a growing fascist threat in the United States during the Civil War era that mainly targeted Black women. One of her most prominent work to date is her concept of the triply oppressed. The triply oppressed concept talks about a Black woman's oppression that is right at the center of the intersection of race, gender, and class. And it is because of this concept is the reason why we see Jones remain relevant today, namely because of intersectionality. Some of you may have heard this term before, but to give a clear definition, intersectionality was a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw back in 1989 that describes how race, class, gender, and other individual characteristics intersect with one another and overlap when it comes to oppression. Claudia Jones's concept of the triple oppressed had served as the very blueprint of intersectionality in political activism and social justice. However, there are people who are concerned with the concept. Some people believe that intersectionality promotes minorities getting special treatment and invalidates an able-bodied heterosexual white person's struggles. Some also believe that intersectionality is a new caste system where non-white and non-heterosexual folks are to be placed on top. But that is just simply not the case. Intersectionality and Jones's work are very important when addressing social issues and today's politics. Intersectionality, in spite of what opposers believe, works to address the racial hierarchies that were put up in favor of heterosexual white men. It also takes into account of those who were born at a disadvantage in the system. For example, feminism has had a history of disregarding Black, Indigenous, and women of color. Intersectionality disparages the whiteness of feminism and gives a voice to marginalized women. And finally, social activism isn't as simple as people assume. Intersectionality does not reduce the complexity of power constructions into a single group. And to conclude the presentation, I just wanted to leave you guys with Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote that says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." This quote can be very much applied to intersectionality because the concept reveals the intersection of institutions, systems, and categorizations that help produce the oppression that we see in our society today. Thank you.